And what's up, guys? What's up, my central unit? It's the Central Man here. So, back again with another review of WCW Monday Nitro from the 25th of September 1995. Get to my final thoughts in the end. Oh boy, nothing really to talk about for this episode of Monday Nitro. Anyway, the first match we had Alex Wright taking on the debuting of Disco Inferno. The match was okay, it was nothing special. In the end, Alex Wright hit the like a crucifix roll up onto Disco Inferno to get the victory. I'm guessing the fans are cheering for. I think they were cheering for Alex Wright and booing Disco Inferno. I'm guessing like Disco Inferno is a heel, Alex Wright is the babyface. He'll later on become a heel, doing the, he become this anti-American heel, bashing the Americans, speaking in German, and then later on, he later become Berlin. This was like 1999 to in 2000. He became, he had this his security guard and his secretary, and he ended up speaking just only German. That was a good gimmick. That Berlin. When I saw this picture of Alex Wright doing the Berlin gimmick, that was a good gimmick. And then all of a sudden, they dropped that gimmick. It's way better than being the Dust Thunder Kid. It was just dancing around. When he was Berlin, he's kind of like this serious heel, foreign heel. Anyway, I don't want to get into it. It was an okay match between Alex Wright and Disco Inferno. Disco Inferno lost his first match in WCW. Anyway, and then you got Hulk Hogan, his first appearance on Nitro since he got attacked by the Giant at Fall Brawl. He was wearing a neck brace. And also he's challenged the Giant to a match. And basically it's a monster truck match at Halloween Havoc. And also he's going to put his world title on the line. He said he's going to body slam the Giant, do what he did to his father. Referring to Andre the Giant. He's not really his father. Paul White and Andre the Giant, Andre Rusimov. They're two different giants, One's French and one's American. I know it's kayfabe. So okay, and then I think we've got another segment. Before that, you got another Randy Savage is Slim Jim commercial. And then we got basically a segment between Savage and Luger again. Savage calls out Luger, and Luger basically challenged Randy Savage to a match. It's like this. If Luger wins, it's like this. If Savage wins, Luger puts his world title shot on the line. And also, if he loses to Savage, he will leave WCW. You basically say about he's pointing, because Luger said he's got Savage is misjudging him, doubting him. So and also the Savage Luger match will be next week on Nitro. You have to wait until next week's episode of Nitro. I know who win. I know it's before my time, but you have to wait until next week's episode review of Nitro. Anyway, so it's okay. It's building on this heating up rivalry, a mini rivalry. I think it was a mini rivalry between Luger and Savage because Savage is doubting Luger and decided to put, basically wants to sell it in the ring, and Luger's gonna put his title and in his career in WCW on the line. Anyway, and moving on to the next match. The next match we got Kurisawa? Can't pronounce this dude's name. With Colonel Robert Parker in his corner, taking on Sergeant Craig Pittman, or aka Pitbull. That's his nickname. This was an okay match. It's a little bit better than Pittman's match against Jim Duggan at Great American Bash and Cobra at Fall Brawl. But that's not saying too much. You had Pittman working on the arm. Kawasaga working on the arm of Pittman. I felt like one more in the match, he kind of like exposed the ring mat outside the ring and slammed him onto the exposed floor. Pittman locked in the cold red armbar onto Kurosawa. Kurosawa basically reached the ropes. In the end, Kurosawa German suplex Pittman for the victory. Now we've got this promo segment between Arn Anderson and Brian Pillman. This is building up to the reformation of the New Horsemen. And for Pillman, he did quite a good promo. At this point, he's still developing the loose cannon persona. You can tell he's getting that loose cannon Brian Pillman from going into ECW and then a little bit in the WWF. He said about they were talking about Ric Flair, Pillman says Ric Flair's groveling and begging like a gutter slime, pain handling in the sewers of Times Square. And Arn Anderson says about you're asking Randy Savage to be I'm guessing it's going to be a tag team match at Howling Havoc. And basically he's asking first Randy Savage, and he brings up like Ric Flair smacked Angelo Poffo in his face. Sort of about 7-year-old man. I don't think he was 70 back then. He died at the age of 84. He died in his early 80s. So I'm guessing he was not really about 70. I don't know how old is Angelo Poffo at the time, but yeah, he didn't say Angelo Poffo, but he said about he smacked his 7-year-old man in the face, and he said about you asked Sting 4 years ago, you crippled him and nearly put him out wrestling, and said about for 10 years you ran everyone over, and you made me run your play. What comes around goes around. It was an okay promo segment for Arn. Pillman, it was a little bit good. I put it okay. It wasn't like special, but I think it was okay for what it is. Okay, moving on to we got Randy Savage taking on the Taskmaster Kevin Sullivan. You got Zodiac, Ed Leslie, you'll be the former Brutus Barber Beefcake, the future Booty Man, future Disciple, many characters in not just in WCW but in WWF. Well, anyway, this match sucked. It sucked. Basically, one more in the match, he had Zodiac interfered. Basically, I think he slammed him near the ring post. In the end, Savage kind of pushed the referee over. I'm guessing that's Randy Anderson. I think his nickname is Pee Wee Anderson. Anyway, the match ended in disqualification, and basically had Zodiac place on top of Taskmaster, and Randy Savage hit the diving elbow onto both Zodiac and Kevin Sullivan, and then all of a sudden you got the Giant came out, chokeslam Randy Savage, and then you got the babyface coming out to stop the Giant, start a little bit of the Dungeon of Doom, not all, but mostly Zodiac and Taskmaster. Then you got Mark Starr. There was one man with red trunks. I thought it was Larry Sabisco, but it wasn't him. He was some dude, some jobber with red trunks. He got chokeslammed by the Giant, and then you got Mark Starr got also chokeslammed by the Giant. Then you got Alex Wright came out. I think like the Giant bear hugged Alex Wright, and then you got Lex Luger came out, but instead the Giant chokeslammed him. They did a good job, WCW. They did what WWF/E failed to do. They poorly booked Paul White, the Giant/Big Show over the years. They make them they don't know what they do with him, WWF/E. They don't. Is he going to be the serious Giant, or is he going to be like a comedy act? They just never make up their mind. I don't want to get into it. That's another topic for another time. But with WCW, they did. He was mostly. I think he turned heel. I think they did the turn 3 times. He started out as a heel, Then he was a babyface, and then back as a heel before going to World Wrestling Federation / Entertainment, and then end up, being face and heel turn at the same time. It's so dumb. Like, this performance of the Giant on this show was good. They were like building up his match with Hogan in that fucking horrifying monster truck match at Halloween Havoc. But they built him they made him as this dominant force, this dominant monster. Yeah, the Dungeon of Doom was shit. They had cheesy, crappy gimmicks. For the Giant, he's not a guy who came from the World Wrestling Federation. He's basically WCW's own creation. Like him and Goldberg and DDP, most of them, never wrestled in the World Wrestling Federation, their own creation. With Big Show, he's just, not Big Show, with the Giant, he, in this segment, after this match ended disqualification, what they done? They booked him like a monster, a freaking nature. He just like beating down the babyfaces, beat down really the top. I don't really call him the top babyface at the time, Luger, but anyway, so it's just building up his match with Hogan at Halloween Havoc. And then the main event, we got Luger versus Ming. This was shit. Ming fucking sucks. Yeah, like, he had a good match with Sting. The reason why he had a good match with Sting at both at Great American Bash and Bash at the Beach, actually they were decent, but at least Sting can actually go. Ming fucking sucks. I don't get the hype. If you like him, hey, more power to you. He fucking sucks. Not just in WWF, but in WCW. I think the only accolades he won in WWF was the King of the Ring tournament. That's in 1989, I think. No, 1988. It's somewhere in the 80s, but yeah, it was fucking boring. You had basically using like trap holds on Luger, some chops. He's not that fucking good. Like some Samoan wrestlers, they kind of get it. Others, not so much. But in the end, Luger has some guys come back. In the end, basically Ming kind of hit Luger with this foreign object. I think it was like a spike or something into the throat, and got the victory. So that was not good. That is not a good main event. So anyway, so yeah, and also the announcers bring up the next week's matches. I think it had the tag team champions, the American males. It's Marcus Alexander Bagwell. He's not buff yet, and Scotty Riggs taking on the Nasty Boys. I think you had, I think you got the debut of Dean Malenko, and also Savage versus Luger. So anyway, so my rating on the 25th of September's episode Nitro, I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 10. I give it a 4.5 out of 10. This was not a good show. This was filler. It's 1995. What do you expect? You're not gonna get good matches. Not just good matches, but good shows in both in WWF and WCW. But this was not a good show. It's so filler. The only good thing about this show has to be the Giants' dominance. That's it. And a little bit of the half of the segment between Arn Anderson and Brian Pillman. Pillman's promo was a bit good. Arn Anderson's side was a bit in the middle. The two middle matches, I have to say the opener, Alex Wright and Disco Inferno and Pittman versus Karasawa. The two bad matches on the show has to be Randy Savage versus Kevin Sullivan and Lex Luger versus Ming. So anyway, so that's my review on the 25th of September 1995 episode of Monday Nitro. Hope you like it. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below, smash the like button, and subscribe to the Central Man Network on YouTube. And we'll be back for next week for another episode review of WCW Monday Nitro. This is the Central Man officially signing out. Check you later.